I know, my mission is all about understanding and bringing people together. So why am I making a video to look out for certain signs that show that people should be breaking apart? Well, because part of finding the right person is recognizing when you're with the wrong person. And because the longer you stay with said wrong person, the less open you are to attracting the right one to you. So today, we're going to go through 6 signs that your relationship is over. And it's not about animosity, but maybe just recognizing, okay, maybe it's time to close the chapter on this part of your life. And it's not about bringing any animosity, but it's just recognizing that maybe it's time to close the chapter on this part of your love journey. Before we get into that, I'm excited at the one-to-one sessions I've been having with some of you. So if you want to begin to level up your dating life, then get your free session in the link below. So, the first sign that your relationship might be over, and is the most obvious one, is constant arguing or bickering without any resolutions. Arguing in a relationship is very normal. In fact, I think it was even Esther Perel, who's my intellectual crush, by the way. I think it was her who even said that arguing from time to time in a relationship is actually very good for building the relationship going forward. Time to time, not constantly. Because it challenges you, challenges your partner, but most importantly, it's opportunity for growth. However, constant arguing or bickering without any resolution can be a sign that there's a lack of understanding and communication between you both. This can be because one or both of you aren't able to express your needs or feelings effectively, or being unable to compromise with each other. In relationships, you're constantly giving and receiving. And whether we want to admit it or not, we're constantly and subtly always negotiating what we're willing to give and what it is we want to receive. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it could also be that one or neither of you are willing to understand the other person's point of view, or recognize the importance of certain issues to the other partner. And maybe instead of accepting it, the person is told that they're being too sensitive or that they're being irrational. Bottom line is, if you're really struggling to resolve little things along the way that shouldn't be a problem for you long term, then maybe it's time to turn the page. Next sign that it may be a time to let go is unwillingness to compromise or meet halfway. Relationships by definition mean compromise. And unwillingness to compromise or even meet halfway, this can come from a few factors. It could be that one person thinks that they are right wholeheartedly, and so they hold out for their demands despite the other person disagreeing with them. It could be that both people have firm stances on what they disagree about, and neither is willing to budge. There could even be a conflict of interests or egos or even values between both people, which then prevents anyone from making any concessions on any part of the discussion. Ultimately, it comes down to how willing are both parties wanting to come to an agreement. If you can't compromise together, or maybe even if just one of you is unwilling to come to the table to find a compromise, then the intention isn't there for the relationship to move forward. This next sign that your relationship is over is consistent hurtful words or behavior. Repeated hurtful behavior or words is a form of verbal, mental, and emotional abuse. And this can cause long-term damage for someone's mentality or their self-esteem. And the reason this kind of abuse is especially damaging is because it's repeated over and over and over again within a relationship. The longer it goes on, the more psychological damage is going to happen to that person. Not to mention that when someone is on the receiving end of constant hurtful behavior and words, it can make them feel a certain level of fear and anxiety, which makes it harder for them to leave the situation, because they can almost feel that they're dependent on the other person for validation, that they're constantly trying to chase the validation from said person. And the best way to address this is always to leave. And the person may say they love you, but ultimately life is about surrounding yourself with people who make you feel good. Surrounding yourself with people who you want to pour into and who want to pour into you. And this is a scenario where the person is only taking, not giving, and isn't worth staying for. This next sign that it may be quitting time is a lack of physical intimacy or affection. So let's be real, sex is important. And not just sex, but affection towards each other. Physical affection, whether that's sex, play fighting, kissing, stroking, whatever it is, physical affection is the one ingredient that makes it different from platonic relationship to romantic relationship. It changes someone from being a friend into being a lover. Because in the relationship, there is a friendship there, right? Ideally, this person becomes your best friend as your relationship builds. But it can't be just that. And a lack of intimacy or affection can be caused by a variety of different things. communication issues, physical or emotional barriers, a lack of understanding, connection, stress, or even just a lack of time. Which can be a common excuse, but I don't actually think it's a valid excuse. Look, sex can be anywhere between 2 hours long to 2 minutes long. So if we're being honest, if someone is saying that they don't have enough time to have sex with their said partner, they just don't want to have sex with them. Because either they don't have the drive to have sex, or they specifically don't want to have sex with them. Now, to be fair, a lack of intimacy doesn't always mean that relationship is over, because it really depends on why. Because it actually may be an issue that both of you can take steps to address it, and then you come together in the end. That's so long as you both want to, though. That could include taking time to spend together, or actively speaking about certain things within your relationship that you've never done before, or if need be, getting some professional help. But if there's a lacking in wanting and intention from one or both people of wanting to do this, then it's a wrap. This next sign that your relationship is probably over is limited communication or a lack of planning future plans together. A big mistake that a lot of couples make is that when they become an item, they just sit in it. It becomes more about integrating each other into each other's lives, which is great, but then we can forget to actually make an effort in making plans and experiences with our partner. Plan dates together, plan holidays together, plan to do something new together. And don't get me wrong, it is nice when you become comfortable with whoever you're with. It's nice, but comfort breeds staleness. But too much comfort breeds staleness. It doesn't matter how busy your lives are. It doesn't even matter that you even live together and you see each other every day. There should be an effort made in creating space for one another. Space for dates, space for going out, space for having sex. Maybe one of you want to do that, and the other one is just lacking some slight awareness with this. But then you have to communicate that to the other person. Too often people will sit in relationships and go, oh, well, if this person truly loved me, then they would do this. And then we start to covertly test the other person to almost test their love for us. And they have no idea that they're being tested. They're just going along with their day. And with each failed test, we pull ourselves away from them emotionally, little by little. When what we should do is share with them what's going on and what we're feeling. Just be like, hey, I noticed that we don't do this anymore, but I would love for us to make some time so that we can enjoy this together. But if you have limited openness for communication, then your relationship is doomed to fail. Because there are going to be times where you or your man are going to have to address certain sensitive topics within the relationship. And you have to be able to have open conversation for that. This next sign that your relationship is over is cheating or consistent cheating. Personally, for me, I don't tolerate cheating at all. If a girl cheats on me, hey, I will let you go with love, but I am letting you go. Now, everyone has different standards. You may be able to tolerate a mistake because sometimes people just make mistakes. But consistent cheating, no one should accept. Unless it's an agreement between you two, in which case it wouldn't be cheating, it would just be, like ethically non-monogamous. But yeah, consistent cheating, no one should be accepting that. And is definitely a sign that your relationship is over. Now, people tend to stay in those kind of relationships because they make excuses for the other person. They go, oh, well, I know that they did that, but they still love me, so there's reason for me to stay. And excuse my French, but I have to make this point very strongly. That doesn't count for shit unless they are choosing you. Wanting you and choosing you are two very different things. Someone can love you, but still physically abuse you. Because that's not them choosing you, that's them choosing their demons. When we decide to choose someone, part of choosing to have a relationship with someone is choosing to work on the elements of ourselves that need growth in. Because no one's perfect, right? And romantic relationships often provide reflections of ourselves that we didn't even know we maybe had. In fact, there are things we can only learn about ourselves through romantic relationships. And so part of us choosing the person, choosing the relationship, is working on our demons every day for the benefit of the relationship. So if someone's demon, if you will, is being unfaithful, then yes, they may love you, but they're not willing to do the work in order to choose you, in order to choose the relationship you have together. In which case, it's time to move on. If you're willing to keep your word and be loyal to them, then you should only be choosing somebody who is ready to do that for you. If you're looking for a guy who sparks up your love life, make sure you subscribe to this wonderful tribe. And as always, keep it sleek.